Do you struggle to take everything you know, everything you've built, and turn it into an offer ecosystem that people actually understand and want to buy? You have the expertise, you have the ideas, but getting all of that out of your head and into offers that connect, speak to the right people, sell with ease, and actually grow your business, that's a whole different skill set. And that's exactly what this show is about. Welcome to the Offer Mojo Show. I'm Lori Young, offer strategist and creator of the Offer Mojo framework. I help coaches and expert led business owners package their expertise into offers you love and buyers actually crave. Because when your offers finally click, everything else gets easier. Let's get into it. AI search is becoming one of the main ways people find coaches and experts, and most of us have no real strategy for it. I didn't either until I realized how many of my own clients were finding me this way and went digging into why. In this episode, I'll walk you through what's actually changing about how people discover you and your offers, and 5 specific things you can do about it. None of it is complicated. It just isn't what most of us were taught to do. So, I want to start with something that's been really surprising me lately. My last 10 leads all came from AI search, not social media, not a referral, not someone in my many business communities. They typed a question into ChatGPT or Perplexity or Google's AI, and my name came up. And about 8 out of 10 of those leads actually closed. Now, I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm telling you because I honestly didn't see it coming, even though I've secretly wanted attraction marketing to work. These people found me. I wasn't chasing them, I wasn't in their DMs. They were looking for someone who could help them with their offers and their positioning, and somehow AI pointed them to me. And here's the part that's really shocking: they show up practically sold. They've already done their research inside AI before they ever land in my inbox. By the time we talk, they're not asking whether they should work with me. They're asking which of my offers is the right fit. It's a very different conversation than the one I used to have. So naturally, people started asking me about it. Every time I mention to another business owner that my leads are coming from AI search, they get this super surprised look, but then they're also curious and they ask, wait, how are you doing that? And I'm going to be honest with you, for a while, I was guessing because this is not my area of expertise. I'm an offer strategist. I help people get clear on what they sell and how they talk about it. I'm not an AI search expert. So when people asked me how I was showing up in these tools, I'd give them my best guess and kind of shrug. But the question kept coming up, and I don't love guessing when people are genuinely asking me for help. So I stopped guessing and I went and I did the research. And I want to give credit where it's due. A lot of what I now understand started with my AI consultant, Sangeet. He's the one who first taught me that AI tools are reading and evaluating content in a specific way, and that I could write differently to work with that instead of against it. So I dug into the research on top of what he taught me, and what I found actually explained a lot of what's been happening in my own business. So that's what this episode is about. It's just me sharing what I found and what lines up with what's truly working for me. 5 things that you can do to increase your chances of being the person that AI search points to. But first, let me explain what's actually shifting, because if you don't see the shift, these 5 things are not going to make much sense. Here's what changed. It used to be that someone had a problem, they typed it into Google, and they got a list of links, 10 blue links. And then they decided for themselves. They clicked around, they compared, they made up their own mind about who to trust. That's not how a growing number of people search anymore. Now they ask ChatGPT or Perplexity or they Google something and Google's own AI gives them an answer right at the top before they ever scroll. And that AI doesn't hand them 10 links to sort through. It reads everything and it decides who to mention. And this isn't just a handful of techie early adopters. ChatGPT is reaching hundreds of millions of people every week, and Google's AI summaries now show up in more than half of all searches. So, this is already how a huge chunk of your potential clients are looking for help. They just are. So here's the reframe that we all have to contend with. You're not optimizing for a search engine anymore. You're being evaluated by something that reads your work and decides whether to recommend you. There's a difference between being searchable and being citable. Searchable means someone could find you if they type the exact right words. Citable means artificial intelligence understands you well enough to bring you up on its own. Those are not the same thing. And the second one is what is happening right now. So here's the part, though, that I find super reassuring, and I think that you will too. The shift does not reward more content. It does not reward some new technical skill that you have to go learn. It rewards clarity. It rewards being specific and easy to understand. Which, if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, it's the exact thing I've been asking you to do all along. So let's get into the 5 things. And remember, I'm sharing these as someone who went looking, not as someone who's been doing this for 5 years. But every one of these lines up with both the research and my own experience. So number 1 is to say what you do in plain words and say it the same way everywhere. Not clever, not layered, not something like, I help you step into your zone of genius and unlock your highest potential. Make it plain, like I help coaches and experts turn scattered expertise into a clear, sellable offer. Here's why this matters for AI. The tool has to be able to match you to a question. When someone asks, who can help me figure out my coaching offer? AI is looking for someone whose work clearly answers that. If a real human can't tell what you do after reading your website once, AI can't either. And the everywhere part is just as important. Your website, your podcast, your LinkedIn, your YouTube. If you describe what you do one way here and a totally different way over there, you're confusing the very thing that's trying to recommend you. When your positioning looks consistent across all the places that you show up, that consistency itself becomes a signal that you're the real deal. The research backs this. These tools look for agreement across multiple sources before they'll confidently recommend you. So this is the positioning point, and I'll be honest, it's the one that people resist the most because plain feels boring to us. We're so close to our own work that the clever version feels safer, but plain is what gets you found. Number 2 is to give the answer first, then explain. This is the big one that I learned from Sangeet, and it changed how I write. I've always been consistent with my blog every single week without fail, but I used to write them the way most of us were taught. Warm up, set the scene, build to the point, save the good stuff for the middle. But Sangeet taught me that AI tools pull the answer from the very first sentence or two of a section. If you open with something vague that doesn't get to the point, artificial intelligence just moves on to someone who got to the point. So now I lead with the answer. I say the thing first, then I explain it. And it works the same way out loud when you open a podcast segment or a video. Don't spend the first 90 seconds setting the scene. Say what you're actually here to say, then explain it. The answer goes first. This one small change, I think, is a big part of why I started showing up. I didn't write more blogs. I wrote clearer. I answered the question right away instead of making people dig for it. So when you look at my blogs, the first paragraph of every blog is a summary. It gets straight to the point about what that blog is about. And as you move towards the end of the blog, there's always a Q&A section. Very simple questions that are related to the topic with very clear answers. Those are the types of questions that people are searching for in AI, and the answers come up in my content. Number 3 is to be specific, real numbers, real names, real examples. Vague gets skipped, specific gets quoted. For instance, if you write something like pricing varies depending on your needs, that's vague. If you write most one-on-one coaching packages run between $1,500 and $5,000, that's something artificial intelligence can actually recognize and use as a real answer. The research on this is really clear. Concrete numbers, real examples, actual timeframes. That's what gets pulled into an answer. Generality gets left behind. And guess what? This is just good positioning too. When you name the specific person you help and the specific result they get, you're not only feeding artificial intelligence, you're making a real human go, oh, that's me. So it does double duty. Specificity makes you citable and it makes you magnetic at the same time. Number 4 is to show up on video and audio and say your topic out loud. This one actually surprised me when I researched it, but it makes total sense. It turns out that being mentioned in video content, especially YouTube, is one of the strongest signals that these tools use. When you say your topic out loud in a video title and what you actually talk about in the transcript of your episodes, you are feeding the exact thing AI search weighs most heavily. So for me, this explains my podcast and my YouTube. I talk about offers and positioning on every single platform that I'm on constantly. It's all I talk about, honestly. And I think that that's been building my authority this whole time without me even realizing it. So if you've been wondering whether your podcast or your videos are worth it, here's your answer. They might be doing more for your visibility than your website is. So say your topic out loud, name it in your titles, and let the transcripts do the work. Number 5 is be consistent over time and across platforms. This is actually my favorite one because I think it's the real reason any of this is working for me. You don't need one viral moment, and you don't even need to get into major publications like Forbes. The research actually shows that the vast majority of what AI tools cite is not big name media at all. It's the steady, ordinary stuff. Regular blog posts, regular videos, regular mentions across all the places you already show up. What you need is a body of work, a pattern, enough clear, consistent content over time that when artificial intelligence goes looking for someone who does what you do, there's a whole trail of you saying the same true thing over and over in the same specific, clear language. And that's what makes you hard to miss. The honest truth is, that's what I've been doing for years without knowing it was the strategy. I just kept showing up every week, talking about the thing that I care about. And it turns out that that consistency is exactly what built this. So let's wrap this up. Here's what I want you to really know. You cannot fully control what AI says about you. I can't either. Nobody can. But you can absolutely control whether your work is clear enough to be worth repeating. You can control whether your positioning is so specific and clear and consistent that when someone or something goes looking for the person who does what you do, you're the obvious answer. That's the whole game. It's not luck. It's not a trick. Thank God. Just clarity, said consistently everywhere. The same thing I've been telling you all along, just with a new and very good reason to finally do it. So here's what I want you to do in the next day or two. Go to your website, the main page, the one where you say what you do, and read it out loud. Then ask yourself one honest question. Could a complete stranger tell exactly who I help and what I do from this? Could artificial intelligence? Or is it clever and layered and a little vague? If you read it and you're not sure, ask some other business owners to read it. Ask them to give you feedback and tell you what they think, because that's really important work. Here's the honest part: most people read their website and think it's fine. To them, it makes total sense. But when other people read it, there's often a complete disconnect. People don't understand what you're actually talking about. And if real humans don't understand it, artificial intelligence certainly isn't going to understand it either. That's exactly why I built the Offer X-ray. It's a deep diagnostic that looks at your offer across all 6 layers of the offer lifecycle and shows you precisely where your positioning is fuzzy, where you're losing people, where the clarity falls apart. It's the outside set of eyes that catches what you can't catch on your own. Right now, I'm opening the waitlist for it. If everything I just said resonated, if you're sitting there realizing your work might be clearer in your head than it is on your website, I'd love to have you on the list. There's no pressure, there's no rush. It's just an invitation to be first in line when it opens. I'll drop the link in the show notes. All right, my friend, I know this can feel like one more thing to worry about in a world that already moves so fast. But I don't want you to feel behind. I want you to feel a little relieved, because the work here isn't some new skill you have to scramble to learn. It's the work you already know matters. Get clear, say it plainly, say it consistently. That's it. And you can absolutely do that. Like always, please leave a review or forward this episode to someone who needs to hear it. I will see you in the next episode.